In 1985, the NHL changed its official rulebook because of one man. When two players committed penalties at the same time, the league had always allowed the game to continue 4 against 4. But Wayne Gretzky and his Edmonton Oilers were so unstoppable in that open space that the league had no choice. They rewrote the rules just to slow him down. One of the toughest defensemen in NHL history, Dennis Potvin, summed it up perfectly. Body-checking Gretzky is like trying to body-check a rope. So what exactly made this man so terrifying that an entire league had to change its laws to survive him? When Wayne Gretzky entered the NHL, the experts were not impressed. He was described as too small, too slow, and too thin to survive the brutality of professional hockey. Nobody believed he could last, let alone dominate. But those physical limitations became the very reason Gretzky developed a weapon far more dangerous than size or speed: the ability to read and predict the game at a level no one had ever seen. His father, Walter Gretzky, built this gift deliberately. Walter taught his son not to watch the puck, but to study the movement patterns of every player on the ice. He gave Wayne a unique training exercise, redrawing the puck's path on paper while watching games on television, without ever looking down at his hands. Sports journalist Peter Zowski observed that what the world called genius was actually a deeply trained reflex. Responses to situations Gretzky had already stored in his mind as naturally as his own phone number. The greatest players in NHL history did not just respect Wayne Gretzky, they were genuinely stunned by him. Bobby Orr, the man who revolutionized the defenseman position and is widely considered one of the 2 or 3 greatest players ever, admitted that he would sit down, look at Gretzky's statistics, and simply ask himself how a human being could produce those numbers inside one of the most competitive leagues on earth. It was not admiration for a fellow professional. It was something closer to disbelief. Super Mario, the only player in history whose individual skill and scoring rate could even be mentioned alongside Gretzky's, called him a pure genius. Someone who did not just play hockey better than everyone else, but who completely redefined how the game should be approached. And Super Mario witnessed this firsthand at the 1987 Canada Cup. Before a crucial moment, Gretzky turned to him and said directly, "When I give you the puck, you shoot. You are the better finisher." That willingness to set aside personal glory for the team made Gretzky even more dangerous. Opponents were not facing a superstar. They were facing an entire system powered by the sharpest mind in the sport. Gordie Howe, Gretzky's childhood idol, once warned the young player on the ice with a firm message: "Never take the puck from me." But as the records fell one by one, Howe became one of Gretzky's loudest supporters, recognizing that number 99 was not just a scorer, he was the greatest ambassador the sport had ever seen. Wayne Gretzky's statistics do not invite comparison. They stop conversations cold. In the 1981 to 1982 season, Gretzky scored 50 goals in just 39 games. Before him, Rocket and Mike Bossy had each scored 50 goals in 50 games, a feat already considered the absolute limit of human performance. Gretzky did it 11 games faster. In that same season, he finished with 92 goals and 212 points, becoming the first player in NHL history to cross the 200-point mark. The goaltender facing him that night, Pete Peters of the Philadelphia Flyers, described a feeling of complete helplessness, as if Gretzky already knew every angle, every weakness before the play even developed. Connor McDavid, the most gifted player of the current generation, has stated plainly that the 50 goals in 39 games record will never be broken. It required a level of perfection that simply cannot be sustained. To put the career numbers in perspective, a player today would need to score 143 points every single season for 20 consecutive years just to have a chance of matching Gretzky's total. That is not a challenge. That is a closed door. Before Wayne Gretzky, the area behind the opposing goal was considered dead space, a place players passed through, not a place they operated from. Gretzky turned it into his personal command center. Opponents and commentators eventually gave it a name: Gretzky's office. From that position, he had a complete view of the attacking zone that neither the defenseman nor the goaltender could match. He used the net itself as a natural shield, making it nearly impossible for defenders to pressure him without either taking a penalty or abandoning their position in front of the goal. Every time Gretzky settled into his office, he forced the opposing defense into an impossible choice. If a defenseman chased him behind the net, Gretzky would release the puck instantly to a teammate cutting through the middle. If the defense held their position, he would simply wait, sometimes for what felt like an eternity in hockey time, until a seam opened, then thread a pass through a gap that most players would not even see as a possibility. His no-look passes were not instinct. They were the product of thousands of hours of practice, building an awareness of where every teammate stood without needing to look. Russian hockey legend Igor Larionov noted that what made Gretzky truly impossible to defend was that he never followed a fixed script. Every decision was live, spontaneous, and always one step ahead of whatever defensive system was trying to contain him. Every coach in the NHL wanted to stop Wayne Gretzky. Most of them tried the same solution: assign a dedicated defender to follow him everywhere, every shift, every second. The Toronto Maple Leafs sent their best players to shadow him across the entire ice surface, step for step, with one job and one job only: do not let Gretzky breathe. It made things worse. By pulling elite defensemen out of their natural positions, Gretzky opened enormous space for Mark Messier and Jari Kurri to operate. The more aggressively teams committed to stopping number 99, the more damage the rest of the Edmonton Oilers inflicted. Gretzky did not fight the shadow. He weaponized it. And when defenders did try to make physical contact, Dennis Potvin's words proved exactly right. Gretzky never stood still long enough to absorb a clean hit. He shifted his weight, changed direction, and redirected the force of the collision at the last possible moment, leaving opponents off balance and out of position. By 1985, teams had run out of answers on the ice, so the NHL itself stepped in and changed the rules. In 1991, during the Canada Cup tournament, United States defenseman Gary Suter drove Gretzky hard from behind into the boards. The collision herniated a disc in his back and left him with chronic pain that would never fully go away. Before that hit, Gretzky was averaging 40 to 50 goals per season without visible strain. After 1991, he never reached 40 goals again. But here is what made him truly remarkable. When his body could no longer do what it once did, his mind simply took over completely. Stripped of his most explosive finishing ability, Gretzky reinvented himself as a pure playmaker. He saw passing lanes that existed for fractions of a second and delivered the puck into them with surgical precision. Even in the seasons most would consider his decline, he still led the entire NHL in assists. His body had limits. His understanding of the game did not. When Wayne Gretzky was traded to the Los Angeles Kings in 1988, Canada treated it like a national loss. But what happened next reshaped the entire geography of professional hockey. Before Gretzky arrived in California, hockey was seen as a sport belonging to cold northern cities, frozen ponds, snowbound arenas, and communities that had grown up with the game for generations. Los Angeles changed all of that. Kings games became high-profile social events. The sport found a new audience in a city that had never cared about it before. That momentum did not stop in California. The NHL soon expanded into Arizona, Florida, and Texas, markets that would have been unthinkable without Gretzky first proving that hockey could thrive in the sun. The youth programs, the community rinks, and the homegrown players now emerging from those regions all trace a direct line back to the 1988 trade that nobody in Canada wanted to happen. Wayne Gretzky's dominance did not begin when the puck dropped. It began long before he ever stepped onto the ice. Before every game, Gretzky spent time alone in the locker room, running through the match in his mind, visualizing goals, seeing passing lanes, mentally rehearsing situations that had not happened yet. This was not superstition. It was a disciplined system built on one core belief: that preparation creates certainty, and certainty creates performance. He studied opposing goaltenders and defensive systems with the focus of someone preparing for an examination. Every team he faced had a scouting report already built inside his head before the opening face-off. For young players facing Gretzky for the first time, the psychological weight alone was crippling. Veterans recalled rookies visibly freezing when number 99 came onto the ice, not because of anything he had done yet, but simply because of everything they already knew he was capable of doing. Wayne Gretzky retired in 1999. More than 25 years later, the NHL still lives inside the dimensions he created. The legends who played alongside him or against him have all arrived at the same conclusion. Gretzky was not simply the best at playing hockey. He was the best at understanding it. There is a difference, and that difference is everything. His jersey number, 99, was retired across the entire NHL, not by one team, but by the whole league. No player on any franchise will ever wear it again. That decision had no precedent in North American professional sports. The records, the rule changes, the geographic expansion of the sport, the players in California and Florida and Texas who grew up dreaming about hockey because of him. All of it points back to one man who was too small, too slow, and too thin to succeed. In sport, the mind is the most powerful muscle. Wayne Gretzky proved it every single night.